Okay, so 134, page 134, we're talking about a grammar topic called the present progressive. In English, the present progressive is, um, made known to us. It's obvious. It's signified by the ing suffix. So every time you see an ing, almost every time, you're going to be working with the present progressive. The present progressive tense means that it's an action, so it's a verb, that takes place in the present as opposed to the future or the past, and it's an action that's ongoing. So if I say, I kicked the ball, okay, that's past tense. If I say I kick the ball, that's something I did once, or that I'm doing right now, but I do it once, and it's the action's over. I kick the ball. Boom. It's going outer field. I'm done kicking the ball, right? If I say I'm kicking him while he's down, am I stopping after one kick? No, I am progressively destroying the bully's body by kicking him while he's down. Okay? So that's present and progressive. It's the ing form of a verb that implies the action is ongoing, currently happening, and hasn't stopped. Okay? So like when you're in a race and you're in first place at the beginning and you're in first place at the end, then during that race, you are winning. If you're in last place, you are losing. Both of those present progressive. They're ongoing, and those states haven't changed. You don't go back and forth between winning and losing. You are doing whatever the action is ongoingly. So in Spanish, the suffix ing in Spanish is the ando or endo or iendo. So it'll sound ando or endo or yendo. Any of those endings to a verb are equivalent to the ing form in English. So if we take the verb to speak, hablar, you take the R off the end, habla, and you add ndo. So it's hablando. Hablando is the equivalent, taking the verb from to speak, changing it to speaking. So hablar means to speak, hablando means speaking, present progressive. So let's read now what this this paragraph says underneath the green box. Okay, so on page 134, under the green box, we're going to talk about the grammar first, and then we'll go back to the dialogue this time and answer the questions. So that paragraph says, if you want to express what someone is doing, notice the ing form of the verb to do in that case. So that means that we're talking about present progressive. Then you will use the verb estar plus the present participle. The present participle is the term we use to describe the form of the verb that's in the present progressive. Okay, so if I'm talking about a present progressive verb, then I'm talking about something that's happening continuously in the present tense. If I refer to the infinitive, I would say to kick is the infinitive. But kicking with the ing suffix is what we call the present participle. That means it's the word that refers to the present progressive form of the verb. So doing is the present participle of the verb to do. Cantando is the present participle form of the verb cantar, which means to sing. What does comer mean? To eat. Right. Don't forget the word to at the beginning, because it doesn't mean eat. It means to eat. So what does comiendo mean? Eating. Right. So now, why do they say that you have to use the verb estar plus the present participle? And it's because that's exactly what we do in English too. Well, maybe that's not why, but we do it in English the same way. So in English, if I want to say I kick the ball, or no, let's say the bully. I kick the bully. Okay. What's the subject? Who's doing the action? I kick the bully. Who's the subject? I. I am the subject because I'm the one doing the action. Right. If I say I kick the bully, what's the verb? Well, a bully is doing an action, but he's not the verb. Kick is the verb. So when I say I am kicking, what's the verb now? Sorry, what? It's not to kick. Now it's to be. I am. Am is the verb, right? I am here. That am is the verb. If I say I am kicking, then am is still the verb. Kicking is part of the verb, but is not the main verb. Kicking is simply the present participle. So, I am kicking. In Spanish, we use the same thing, and we use the verb estar, which is to be. So you're going to change estar to whoever is doing the action. So if I want to say I am singing, which is from cantar, then cantando means singing. So if I want to say I am singing, I can say estoy, which means I am, from estar. Estoy cantando. I am singing. If I want to say you are writing, then, and referring to all of you, están ustedes escribiendo. You all are writing. Están ustedes escribiendo. So the following verbs do not follow the pattern given above for the forming of the present participle. So cantar, comer, and escribir are AR, ER, and IR verbs. And look at how they add the suffix. AR verbs drop the R. Well, they drop the AR and add ANDO. Comer drops the ER and adds IENDO. Endo. So comiendo instead of comendo. Escribir does the same thing that ER verbs do. They drop the IR and add the same ending that ER verbs have. Escribiendo. So it's not contando or cantando, comendo, escribiendo. That's incorrect. It's cantando, comiendo, escribiendo. All right. Now, that's the pattern for AR, ER, and IR verbs, but some verbs don't follow that pattern. So some verbs change other letters, like dormir, changes from dormir, D-O-R-M-I-R, to sleep, to durmiendo, durmiendo, D-U-R-M-I-E-N-D-O. Leer, L-E-E-R, means to read, and this one changes the I to a Y. Leyendo, leyendo. And then IR changes the. So IR is the verb to go. Ir. Sorry, I shouldn't spell it. It's a verb, ir, and it means to go. So going is yendo, yendo. So what they're doing, like in leer, is L-E-E-R. That's the verb to read. What Spanish doesn't like is 3 vowels right in a row. In Romanian, you could say a whole sentence and never use a consonant. There's a sentence talks about sheep. I forget how it's said. But literally, you can say the whole sentence and it's entirely vowels. There are no consonants in the whole sentence. In Spanish, they don't like more than 3 vowels. 3 vowels or more. It doesn't like having 3 vowels next to each other. So instead of the verb being L-E-I-E-N-D-O, which is what it would be, because leer takes the ER off and adds I-E-N-D-O. So it would be leyendo, L-E-I-E-N-D-O. That would mean that there's 3 vowels, E-I-E, and Spanish doesn't like that. So it changes the I to a Y, which is a consonant, And that way it sounds identical. Leyendo, leyendo. They sound identical, except that now there's a consonant rather than a vowel. Okay? And then a similar reason is it didn't want the I to start yendo. It likes to change the I to a Y when it can. So yendo is going. All right, so the last thing I want to point out is that there is another way of saying the present progressive, okay? So that's what we're talking about, the tense of a verb in the present tense where the action is ongoing, right? Let's take comer, for example. So if I want to say I am eating, I can say estoy comiendo. However, if I want to say I eat, I take the verb comer, I drop the er, and I add o. So como. Yo como. I eat. I am eating is estoy comiendo with the present participle. Now, Spanish is unique because when I say como in the regular present indicative form of the er verb comer, when I say como, I could mean either I eat or I could mean I am eating. So the regular conjugation of the verbs like hablar, hablo, I speak, can also mean the present progressive, I am speaking. So you don't have to say yo estoy hablando to say I am speaking. You could simply say hablo. But if you want to emphasize that what you're saying is using the present progressive form rather than the regular present indicative I speak, and you want to emphasize I'm currently doing this, I'm speaking right now, I am speaking, then you can emphasize it by saying estoy hablando, I am speaking, and using the to be verb with the present participle. So for example, let's say I were to say to you, or I'm talking to you about something important, and I say hablo ahora, I'm speaking right now, and I mean to say I am speaking right now, and for some reason you didn't understand that I meant this is something I'm doing right now. Like let's say it was a decision I had to make rather than speaking, and it was like I'm really working through this decision right now, and I'm emphasizing that I'm in the midst of trying to decide what I need to do. This is an ongoing thing right now. Then I would use the present participle. So like pensar means to think. So pienso means I think. Pienso que I need to decide on something. I think that I need to decide on whatever I need. And I tell my friend or my pastor, and he's like, yeah, you do need to decide. And I reiterate, no. Estoy pensando ahora. I'm thinking about this moment right now. And I emphasize it using the present participle. Okay, so let's look at the dialogue. It says, hola, mi amor. What does hola mean? Hello. Good. What does mi amor mean? What does the word mi mean? Does not mean me. My. Good. It's the possessive adjective. So it means my something. And what does amor mean? Love, right. So hola mi amor. So the señor, the mister, says to somebody, hola mi amor. And the señora says buenas. So there's a footnote. Buenas is short for buenas tardes. Buenas tardes means what? What's the footnote say? I can't hear you. Good afternoon, right? So buenos dias means good morning. Buenas tardes means good afternoon, and buenas noches means good night. So buenas is short for buenas tardes. So she says good afternoon, buenas. ¿Cómo estás? Which means how how are you? Good. Buenas, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias. I'm doing well. Thank you. ¿Dónde están los niños? What does donde mean? ¿Qué significa donde? Where? And what is the word están? What is that? Huh? Yes, are. Good. So it's from the verb to be, estar. But which conjugation is it? So who's being? You said are, but who? So if we think of the can you all look up here? We've got singular, plural, first, second, third, right? Están is right there. So that means who's doing the action? Who's doing the action of being? Not me. They, right. Third person is not me and it's not you, it's somebody else. And in this case, it's plural because it's in the right column. Están. So that means that looking at the sentence, ¿Dónde están los niños? Los niños would be the something, and they are whoever is doing the action of being wherever they are. So he's asking, where are the what? Niños. What does niños mean? So whenever I play cards or Catan or Monopoly or anything like that with the dice or numbers, and my wife rolls a 9, she's always like, niños. And I'm like, babe, 9 is nueve. Niños does not mean 9. Niños means children, okay? And she knows that. She just likes to bug me. But niños means children. Where are the children? ¿Dónde están los niños? Okay, now here's an example of the present progressive participle. Antonio está en su cuarto. Antonio is in, and then su cuarto is his room. So for cuarto, just think quarters. Antonio is in his quarters, in his room, his quarters. Cuarto. Está haciendo su tarea. Does anybody know what verb haciendo is the participle? So right away, you should recognize está plus an yendo verb means present participle. Even if you don't know what verb haciendo is, you should understand right away that it means he is doing something. Whatever the verb haciendo comes from. So, haciendo is the present participle. Looking at the chart there underneath, cantando, comiendo, escribiendo. Haciendo is the present participle in the right column. What would be the infinitive from haciendo? Hacer. Good. And we know that because the ending of the participle is I-E-N-D-O, and the beginning is H-A-C. So that means that the verb has to be either hacer or hacer, because it's got to be an ER or IR verb. Only ER and IR verbs end with the ending I-E-N-D-O. So right away we know hacer or hacer, and we know that hacer is a verb. We don't know that hacer is. So we can assume that the verb is hacer. Does anybody know what hacer means? Sorry? Not to speak, that's hablar. That's close though, they're both H verbs. Good guess. It has 2 meanings. You know? Yes, to make or to do. To do or to make. Who said that? Okay, good job. Credit where credit's due. Even though Nathaniel tried to steal credit. So, hacer means to do or to make. So that means está, he is, because está is third person está, third person singular. Está haciendo, he is doing su tarea. Anyone know what tarea means? Homework, right? So that's one child. Marta y Elena están. Notice it changed from está, he is, to están, they are, because it's plural. Están afuera. Afuera means outside. Están limpiando el garaje. Anybody know what limpiando means? Okay. Well, let's look at this one. If we look down below, the present participles that end in ando don't have an iando. All right. And this verb does. It has iando, kind of like how the other verb has iendo. However, that I cannot be part of the suffix because ando is the suffix, not iando. So that means that the I before the ando in limpiando, the I must be part of the verb before. So if it's an ando participle, then it comes from an AR verb. So replace the ando with AR. So limpiar. Can somebody look up what the verb limpiar means? Huh? Leave? Clean, yes. To clean. So they are cleaning the garage. Okay? Okay. So what I want you to do is part of your homework is answer the true-false questions based on what we went over as well as the rest of that dialogue. You can work on that. Your homework is, let me double check so I don't say it wrong. Activity 15 and activity 18. Does anybody have any questions about how present participles work with the to be verb in Spanish? Okay. The only last thing I need to tell you is that this schedule in my school app for the assignments this week and the pacing calendar was wrong because I did not know when I created the schedule. I did not know what they were going to do for this week with no classes being on Thursday, Friday. So I had scheduled it like a normal week. So I've adjusted it and I've changed some things. Originally, your writing assignment was due on Wednesday. Now it's due tomorrow night, and you'll do that during homeroom class tomorrow. Have they sent you a schedule for this week? It's basically Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look at it that way, right? So what we would have done in class in homeroom on Wednesday, you'll have to do on Tuesday now. But that means that we had a lesson we were supposed to have tomorrow in class, which we won't have class like today. So I moved that to Monday. And then the homework that and lesson we were supposed to do on Monday, I moved to Tuesday. And we were supposed to have a study hall to prepare for the quiz on Tuesday and then the quiz on Wednesday. But now we just won't have as big of a period of a study hall. You'll still have time at the end of class to study, but I won't be able to give you the whole period for that. So the pacing calendar, I'll upload it here in just a second to the bulletin board. And the due dates for those assignments are already changed in my school app. So that should be good to go for you. Does anybody have any questions about the homework or what's due and when or this week and the schedule? Raise your hand if you're good. If you feel like you know what's going on and when everything's due. All right, excellent. Yes, you may.